Hello, everyone. This is your host, Susan Rosen, and I have another special guest today, and her name is Anna Marie Frank. Frank?
Yep.
Okay. You never know these days. So Anna Marie is, she's been in the wellness industry for over 20 years. She's a doctor of I can't always get that wrong. Naturopathy?
Yeah.
Naturopathy? Okay. Certified brain health practitioner, which I would like to make sure we touch on. Worksite wellness specialist, and amazing human, as we will find out through our discussion. So she's been doing a lot of different things, and I just thought I would have Anna Marie tell us a little bit more about it than just having me read something off of a piece of paper. So Anna Marie, welcome, and tell us a little bit more about kind of how you got into this, and what drives you to really help people.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. So I mean, honestly, ever since I was a little girl, I had this feeling of I was never enough and never really knew where that came from. Was that something I was born with? Was it because I was bullied? Like, what was going on there? And I always liked to be active, which was a good thing. But in high school, I started to struggle with depression, and it's not like for any apparent reason. A lot of times we look at people and we just assume, or we make judgment like, oh, their life's fine, or whatever it is that comes to mind, and we already make up a story in our head about somebody and how their life is and how it's unfolding. So I was an athlete. I was on honor roll, all the things that a lot of people would love to have going on. But in the same token, I wasn't happy, and I didn't know it was called depression at the time. I think depression, anxiety, all that is more regularly used now. But then, went into college and then went into my career. And that's such a challenging time for many young adults, as it is. And then layer on top of that my mental health wasn't all there. So I did what I knew best, and that was to go to a psychiatrist, because of what you do when you don't feel well. You go to someone in a white jacket, MD. And then I spent about, 15 minutes with him, and he wrote me 3 prescriptions. I had diagnosis of ADD, depression, and I was dyslexic, all the things. And so I walked out of there with my prescriptions. I filled them all up, and I started taking these pills. And pills made me suicidal, to say the least. And so I ultimately wasn't happy. There was a long period of time that I went through this, kept going back to the doctor. Oh, these pills aren't working. I need another pill. And then I finally woke up and realized I need to do something different. And that's when I really started to harness and explore the world of holistic health and what else is out there for me. Because I essentially had to heal my own brain, right? I'm the only person that can make myself happy. I'm the only person that's going to wake up every day and take care of myself. And so I went on that journey, and that was a very long time ago. And now I am a happy, whole person. And, I don't take any medications. Now, medications have their place, and some people do need them. I work with people all the time, and some people I'm like, you definitely should never go off your meds, right? Like, and that's okay. But it shouldn't be a one size fits all, and it shouldn't be all one-sided. So, so now I help people work on their brain health, in ways that are not traditional in the US.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that's great, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people, including myself, that identify with different parts of your story, for sure. I think the other thing as well that we all get caught up in is just our own thoughts about all of it. And,
Absolutely.
just, if we can realize that it's our own thinking that's doing half of it to us,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
it makes a big difference. It really is inside out, not outside in.
Yeah. And that's when really the healing can begin, is when
Mm,
you go within yourself. Once you can change what's going on within you, everything around you starts to change. You start to view
yeah,
things from a different lens, and you
yeah,
take the world in differently. And
yes,
so, it's it's a beautiful thing to be able to get to that point. And I
yeah,
understand the struggle and the realness of when you're in it, when things feel so heavy and you feel like you don't have a choice, or you feel like nobody understands, or I mean,
yeah,
there's so many things we go through. I was lucky enough to have this little light inside of me that was like shaking me, saying, wake up, you need to do
yeah.
something different. I don't know where that came from. But I think ultimately calling for what I'm supposed to do here in this lifetime.
Mhm.
And it is to help other people. But I had to go through the darkness that I went through to get to the point where I'm at now. So now I view all of those struggles as blessings, right? So,
Yes, yes, absolutely. Excuse me while I put some. My lips are all chapped. Um, yeah, and I think that most people who've come out the other side, you know, have gone through kind of a similar path. Just the
yeah,
details are different,
right, totally.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. We all
yeah.
find our own way and we do it in our own way.
That's
And
right.
that's why, with social media and how it is now, I thank God every day. I got through high school and pretty much all of college without, well, no, all of college
Yeah,
without phones.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
thank God. But I think that, there's so often we're looking outside of ourselves
Mm,
and we're setting goals based on other people's goals and
mm,
based off of society's expectations or others' expectations, when really we need to look within and decide what it is we truly want, and
mhm.
quit comparing ourselves to other people. Because
Yes.
I can give clients tools and support them where they're at, but
Mhm.
I can't tell them to do it exactly how I did it, because may not work
Mm,
for them, right? We all
right.
have our own journey. So
Yeah.
I think that's the other piece that is really important. So I'm just so glad, because the self-critical part of myself that we all have, I know, that is amplified with social media. And
Mhm.
I
Oh, yeah.
I wrote this book called Stop Bullying Yourself, and I wrote it for my children. But
Yeah.
ultimately, I feel like that book is more relevant now than ever, because we do have that voice in our head that is just dictating everything. And we need to
Yes.
silence that inner bully for sure.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And stop believing what everybody else tells you about yourself,
Right.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, isn't that's the whole thing with social media,
Hmm.
is that you believe, if people start saying horrible things about you or whatever, everybody believes it. It's like, no, you're okay, really.
Well,
You're okay.
it, it's a new thing that I think is pretty crazy, is this idea that success looks a certain way and you're supposed to do X, Y, and Z to be successful.
Mhm.
And I find it interesting because I coach quite a few people,
Uh-huh.
and then I know quite a few people.
Uh-huh.
And what's interesting is some of the
Okay, you're
there,
breaking up a little bit.
it's
So,
not
so
real,
yeah.
right?
So
They're telling you how
say
to be
that.
successful.
Say that a little bit again, because you even the audio broke up a little bit. So just go
Okay,
back
so
to,
with social media not being
yeah,
real, is that where I ended?
yeah.
Yeah, so some of it, it's just not real. So they're putting out there how to be successful, be independent, be your
Hmm.
own boss and all of this, and they're not even doing that. But they're putting that out there. So then you're internalizing like, "Oh, I need to be my own boss, or I need to look a certain way, or blah blah blah." And it's like, "Listen, they don't even look like that. That's a filter." So just bringing awareness, and I think we need to kind of laugh at ourselves that when we're thinking something's real, because it's not, right? What's real is what's happening right in this moment with you and me right now. So it's just interesting. We're interesting beings.
Yeah, well, I think it's even more than just interesting. I think, it's so harmful to so
Mhm.
many people,
Yeah.
and I think, as you were saying, people get so caught up in what other people are saying about them, or what the society is saying we all should be doing, right?
Mhm.
Which isn't new. I mean, that was going on. I'm in my, I'm going to be 67 next week. So it was going on when I was in grammar school, um, but it's, you need to stop worrying about what they all think.
Yeah, and it's
It's,
just amplified right now.
oh no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's funny because if you look historically, I mean, just even in the 20th century, right? There were people on the radio and everyone wanted to be like them.
Mhm.
And it was just a voice, right? And then TV started, and radio, and all this, and then all together. And then it's like, oh yeah, I need to be like, Father Knows Best family. Okay. And now it's all these people, you know, on social media who aren't wonderful
Yeah.
people, right? I mean, it just changes. The technology just changes, but what's going on when you really stop and look at it, it's like, oh my God, it's been going on forever. It's
Yeah.
humans. It's humans.
That polarity, right? That's why we're here on earth, is to feel that polarity
There you
and to
go.
have that full experience. But it's I think a lot of people are, I think they're beginning to, but we need to wake up to the fact that we all have our own unique blueprint, right? We have our
Right.
own thing that we're
Yes.
supposed to do here, and
Yes.
nobody else is us or is like us.
Yes.
We're super individual and unique in our own way, and when people harness that individuality, that's when they thrive, and that's
That's
when
right.
they're happiest. And people do that because once we get out of our own way,
Mhm.
of judgment and allowing other
Oh
judgment to
yeah.
slow us down, oh my goodness, we can
Yes.
thrive.
Yes. Yes. No, I totally agree. I totally agree. So, tell me a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about your your brain health practice, and kind of how you got into that, and I noticed you have some supplements and stuff like that as well. Be interesting to hear more about that.
Yeah, so I work with people in a unique fashion. So I do have
Okay.
people I work with remotely, but then I also have a wellness center
Uh-huh.
that I use high tech pieces of equipment that help to essentially just jumpstart a little bit more fast track that the brain health. And so I work on increasing brain function, decreasing body inflammation, and I combine old school holistic health, Chinese medicine practices with technology, which is a cool thing, right? So I weave
Mhm.
it in as the client needs. And then I also don't just work with the physical aspect of the body. I work with not only the mindset and the way we think, but I also work with your energy field and the
Mhm.
energy in and around the body. So this is an aspect that I think we forget about. So if we go inside every single cell till we can't go anymore, the only thing that's left is energy. So we are really energy first and physical matter second. But in the Western world, we focus so much on the physical. So it's all encompassing, right? Like it's all important. So I just try to take that truly holistic approach with clients to work on their foundations of health, to support them. And what's interesting about the brain is all of our brains function differently. They function differently based on, our baseline of macro micronutrient health. They function differently based on our past experiences in terms
Mhm.
of trauma. And when we talk about trauma, it can be as simple as you were in second grade and your friend said, I don't want to play with you. And you internalize that as, I'm not good enough. I never want to be rejected again. And so it's this approach to work with people and figure out, one, what type of brain do they have, brain type. And there's all this ADD, ADHD. Okay, well, say you have some type of attention issue, which I'm guessing we all do. Is it anxious ADD? Is it inattentive ADD? Is it overfocused ADD? I mean, everybody, we label things all the time. And so it's like, okay, some people feel better getting the label. Some people feel better not getting a label. So I just try to figure out how do you tick? What makes you tick? And are there areas that we can improve? And you take someone who say they have depression, right? So I'll take myself, depression. Doing what I do now, I never realized that most of your serotonin is made in your gut. It's a mood stabilizing hormone. You need to have the amino acid tryptophan and vitamin B6 to even be able to start making serotonin. So that's a very important little fact that we need to know. So if we're deficient in either one of those, that can impact. There's also in energy medicine, this thing called homeolateral. So this is essentially where your energies are not crossing in the body and everything is more going parallel. And so it doesn't function. Your body's not functioning well. You just don't have the energy. You're just not, you can't just actually different movements that
Okay.
people to come out of that.
Okay, re-say that part, just the last little bit, because you were breaking up.
Okay. Okay, there my little sign went away. So with homeolateral, it's ultimately, I teach people different movements that they do to get themselves out of space so you can have more energy and you can start to have your energies crossing over. And I get that some of you out there, you're like, what is this lady talking about? Right? Because it's not widely known, but I can share with you probably about 95% of the people that I see that I say claim have depression, because I don't think depression is anything we want to it's not that we have it. I feel like we're experiencing it, right? So about 95% of people that are experiencing symptoms of depression, we're able to lift those up with, the energy movements, or with, I created a line of brain nutraceuticals that are very specific. Like Happy You is a great one that I created and formulated. It has all the precursors to help with serotonin production. So it has the tryptophan, it has the B6, it has some of the other B vitamins, it has lemon balm extract for calming, holy basil, and so magnesium L-threonate, which is really important across the blood-brain barrier. So it's formulated specifically to trigger your brain and your body to be able to at least have essentially the materials, right? The raw materials to be able to function well. So yeah, so that's, I don't know if I answered your question, but yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, no. I think that definitely answers it. And it's, I think it's also very important for our listeners to understand that what you're trying to do is to provide people with the, those essential, well, they're not all minerals, but those essential pieces.
Yeah.
So their brain can put it together itself. It doesn't need some pharmaceutical to get it to feel a certain way, because that's not really, it's not doing anything for your brain.
Right. Yeah. And one of the formulas I have is called Calm You. So taking into consideration this pandemic we're all experiencing, right?
Yeah.
So so a lot of people during and now after, I don't know, wherever your stance is, I don't know if this pandemic is over, I don't know what's happening. I just know I just look at my life.
It's a lull. We're in between.
Yeah. But anyways, a lot of people are experiencing more anxiousness than ever before. So what happens is when you're in this sympathetic nervous system state, this fight or flight state, the limbic system in your brain, this thing called the amygdala, it's like on overdrive. So what happens is you get cut off from your prefrontal cortex, right? Your exact function thinking of the brain, right? So we're not making decisions based on the big picture, right? Maybe we think we are, but we're only seeing things like from this microscopic standpoint, and we're not seeing the whole shebang, if you will. So Calm You is another formula I created that helps to essentially just calm that overactive mind and take that layer of yuck off. So then you like have this stillness within you where you feel like, oh, okay, I can choose A or B, or I don't have to choose A or B. I could make up my own decision and find C. I don't know. Like it gives you more expansive thinking, but it gives you the internal calmness to be able to see all areas and be able to make a decision versus making a decision out of worry and fear and, oh my gosh, I have to choose this now. And then
Right. Yeah. Or maybe even realizing that you don't need to make a decision at all.
yeah, you just need to let things be.
Yeah. Isn't that a novel concept? Yeah, I that makes a lot of sense. And then I saw you have a third one. So as long as you're going through all of these, why don't you tell us about the third one?
Oh yeah. So my Bright You. This is mine that the formula I never miss. I love taking this every day. So the reason I created Bright You is because I was the person that literally had about, I don't know, 20 different bottles of vitamins products just sitting on my table, like having to like take 10 minutes to like dispense all of them. And I wanted to create, take essentially my ashwagandha, my magnesium L-threonate, grapeseed extract, green tea, ginkgo, like all of the things that I was taking to decrease inflammation in my body and enhance brain function from an anti-aging standpoint. I'm like, okay, can I literally put these all in one formula? And I was able to. The only missing piece is omega fatty acids. So with the Bright You, I always suggest that because it has curcumin in it, is I always recommend that you take Bright You with omega fatty acids so you can help with the absorption rate. So yeah, so that's I have Happy You, Calm You, and Bright You.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, no, I totally understand that because I do all of that. The only thing you mentioned that I don't take is ashwagandha. So yeah, I have to take a look at that one.
It's a great adaptogen. So it's a pretty cool one too. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. So and so it sounds to me like what you really, the process maybe that you go through when somebody new comes in is to find out what's going on with them and, you know, what are they looking for first?
Oh yeah. Everybody's different. And when I work with my clients, they're all different. So if people come and see me in person, my initial intake with them is about 2 hours. I use different modalities to evaluate their foundations of health. I use biofeedback. I use physical observations used in Chinese medicine for, like 5,000 years. So I look at their tongue, I look at their eyes, I'll look at their skin, their face, their ears, kind of figure out what's going on there. Then I do a physical energy test. I'll do muscle response testing. And then, you know, there's always that subjective, right? Like, what is the client sharing? What is that they're saying? Because that is a huge aspect of all of it. And so that's when I meet people in person. I work with people remotely and they'll just send me, I have them send me pictures and different things. So then when we're live and, you know, in person through Zoom, I work with them through that capacity, and that works as well. So, and
Uh-huh.
then I just make suggestions where they're at, and we go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And just make adjustments as you go along.
Mhm.
Okay. I think we're gonna go with the audio on this.
Yeah.
Keep freezing. It's
Um,
okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. Not a problem. Um, so I'm trying to think. So how do people on an ongoing basis do after you've got them kind of to where they ought to be, and they're feeling better and they're like, oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, and then, is there like some continuation, like come see me once every 6 months or something, or because everybody's kind of different, right? And
yeah.
their lives change.
Yeah, no, totally. So yeah, so I have people that they come see me when they're feeling that they're dipping, or they want to just kind of
Mm,
like, you know, have a checkup. Then I have some people that I work with regularly, and so I see them once a month. I have some clients I see, twice a month.
uh-huh,
Um, some of these people are in person, some of these people are remote.
mm,
And then, then I have, luckily, the people that live close, they have access to my wellness center. So they're coming in, and they're not seeing me every time they come in, but they're coming in and getting so many benefits from therapies that we offer. So it does depend on the person and
yeah.
how deep they want to go in their healing. And because, the job is never done, right? Like there's always
Yeah.
another layer. That's what's fun about
Oh,
this.
well, that's true. That's true.
So,
And we're always changing, right? I mean,
yeah,
just the molecules in our body are changing.
yeah.
Um,
And I have people that I work with too. So, I am a student always,
uh-huh.
and I love to continue to grow, and I love to help educate other people. And so I practice what I preach too. So I have a couple practitioners that I love working with through different capacities.
Mhm.
That's amazing. And so I think that the thought of one and done, those aren't necessarily the clients I'm looking for. I'm looking for those that want to like really move the needle and improve themselves, um,
Mhm.
for the rest of their lives, right? This is
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lifestyle aspect. It's not just this quick fix. But yeah, but people don't really know. I mean, people know when they're not feeling well, but I think that when they're not feeling well, they don't know how well they can feel. And I know that through my own experience. It's like
Mhm.
I continue to feel better and better as I age, which is like totally goes against the norm of what society says. Like I had a client earlier who's only 48 years old, and he's like, well, yeah, I'm 48. So, and then he tells me about the issues he's having. I'm like, no, you're 48 and you are not even like, you're going to live to be 100. Like we all need
Yeah.
to be thinking like there's no reason why we shouldn't live to be 100 now. And you're not even halfway through, right? Like you're just getting to the halfway point. But I think that we accept when ailments happen, or when things happen that aren't necessarily what we want. And we say, oh, it's because of age, or, oh, things aren't going well because of so and so. And we find this way to blame it on everything else, when it's like, no, like own your stuff. Like what's going on within you? Like we need to address that. So
Yeah. Oh,
interesting.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. And what did you do earlier when you were in your 30s that
Yeah.
is coming home to roost right now while you're 48?
So that's the whole thing, right? Like
Yeah.
if we didn't take care of it in one decade, don't you think for 1 second it's not going to come up in the next, right? That's for sure. And in Chinese medicine and how you map the face, there's actually decades on the face. And so
Oh, I'm sure.
um, there's certain markers that are interesting, because I'll bring up those markers with clients and I'm like, well, what was it at 30? Like, or it's like what? How'd you know? Like, like, I don't know. Your body's telling me, your face is telling me. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hate to know what my face is saying. Ah, oh God. Yes. Anyways, that's for another show, not in front of everybody. Yeah. So no, I really, I do so much appreciate, how you're bringing all of these different modalities together.
Yeah.
Because over the past 30, 40 years, I mean, I've been through and to a lot of those different people,
Yeah.
but very few who actually brought it all together.
Yeah. And I think that's where like being a lifetime learner
Mm,
really is important. I just finished my master herbalist certification
all right.
about 10 months, and it was really eye-opening, super interesting.
Uh-huh.
And I learned about plant stem cells. And I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
what? I'm like, first of all, I was like, okay, if these plant stem cells do what they're teaching me, like, this is incredible. Why don't we know more about this?
Mm,
Um, and then I was thinking, oh gosh, this is probably super expensive, right? And it was so interesting because come to find out, this, the plant stem cells that I get, they're actually extracted in Belgium. And so I get them from overseas, and they're not expensive. They're super safe for, like, because some people have some pre-existing conditions that may indicate where we can't use other herbs in their whole form, whereas plant
mm,
stem cells are essentially you extract the um, embryos, and
oh,
they're undifferentiated cells, meaning they have all the genetic makeup to turn into a mature cell when you ingest them.
mhm,
And so it's like the blueprint, right? And your body will
mhm.
tell them what to do. So
Oh,
you're
wow.
programming them. So my son has this issue with his feet where, and it's ever since he's been younger, but they like crack and he gets sores in his feet. And I have cleaned up his digestive system, like, because people want to tell me do all these things and then when he was younger, of course, the dermatologist, they only wanted to put steroids on him and all the things. And I'm like, okay. So I told my son, Lewis, I said, I need you to take this plant stem cell 3 times a day. It's not going to taste good. And I want you to continue doing your lotion 2 times a day, like you do. But I want to see what happens here. And he's like, okay, mom. And my kids are good like that. I'm always
Mhm,
having some weird stuff, right? So
mhm.
he did. And it was, I mean, within a month, 6 weeks, there started to be a drastic change. He can go in the
Wow.
ocean. He doesn't have open sores on his feet.
Wow.
He can rub his lotion on his feet way easier. Before, you would go to touch his feet and they would just hurt.
Mm,
And so it was just really, really interesting. And so I was like, okay, so that worked on him. And it's one thing to read things in a book and like to read the research and do all that, but it's like you got to see it and feel it with your own
yeah.
eyes. And so then I started taking the pills too, and it's just incredible. So it's like, when I first started, was I doing that? No, but it was something I learned along the way. So we got to
Mhm.
bring it together. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love
Yeah.
constantly learning about all these things.
Yeah. That's interesting. So is it that because I've read about some other things that are similar, stem cell type of things, right? Where they're kind of this basic, right? This kind of basic
Right.
ingredient. I don't know what else to call it, but something that you take it and it figures out,
What you need to do.
yeah, where your body needs it,
Yeah.
and it goes there and turns itself into that.
Yeah. It's super cool. It's super cool.
Yeah.
And it's so inexpensive compared to, like, if you wanted to do your own human stem cells,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
Like, most people can't afford to do human stem cells. That's
Mm-mm.
$5,000 a pop or whatever, 10,000, depending on how many areas you're doing it.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, so when I do plant stem cell consults, people are like, okay, how much is this going to cost? I'm like, well, your remedy is $90 for the next 5 to 6 weeks. And they're like, what? Like, it's serious.
Hello.
I mean, it's nothing considering. I'm like,
Oh my God.
it's crazy. I look at
Yeah.
pain when my son, when they wanted to give him like the lotions and potions, and those were $40 copay, and then the copay to go to the doctor and like all the things. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, so it's been really cool to do that with him and have him experience that. Cause that's been something
Yeah.
I'm filled with, and he's about to be a teenager. So, to have better skin, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Huh. Wow. That's huge. That's really huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. Huh. Well, I think we probably, I guess, should look at kind of wrapping this up.
Yeah.
I know you have another appointment after this, and that'll give you a little bit of time. So I will say that I really appreciate all this, but if you'd like to give just a little, minute or two, kind of to bring all of this together, because we've talked about a lot of a little over here and a little over there, and just kind of bring it around to how we started with it being a whole and holistic.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, my company is called Happy Whole You, and I created it because ultimately I believe everybody truly wants to be happy, but to be happy, you must be whole, and that choice is completely up to you. Right. So,
Yeah.
with like your podcast, giving this information out, it's like, with any practitioner, any coach, like we're here to help facilitate and to support you where you're at, but just know that it's an accumulation and a layering of different modalities that's going to help you live your best life. And it's not going to just be one. So if you're looking for that one thing, you're going to be disappointed, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think it's important that we work on all areas of our life, our relationships, our mental health, our physical health, the energetics around us, what we're eating, and just knowing that everything that you're bringing into your life is essentially downloading information into your being, into your soul, right? The food you eat is information. The music you listen to is information. The people you choose to conversate with is information. So we are constantly downloading information, and the best thing is you get to choose what you're downloading, right? We're the accumulation of every choice we've made up until this very moment. And we've chosen it, right? We all come from different backgrounds, have different things that happen, but it's ultimately our choice and how we choose to respond or react that gets us to where we're at. But in terms of Happy Whole You and what I do, I think that, I just want to put out there that if you do need support, I always say we're all mental. That's why good health matters. We have blogs, podcasts, different resources at happywholeyou.com that you can look up. You don't have to live in the area. We have a couple locations in the US. But ultimately you can reach out, and we do things remotely. And that's what's beautiful, I think, about technology now is you can get support where you're at. And you don't necessarily have to physically go somewhere to do it, but you do have to choose to take the step to seek it out and to know that ultimately you're the one that's going to have to do all the work. It's not, no one else is going to do it for you.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily going to be free.
Oh, no.
But I'm just saying right. But I'm just saying, I mean, but it's not necessarily even going to be so over expensive or anything that you can't do it. That's, there's a middle ground there, and we can all choose how much of that we want to do and when.
Exactly. I know. I always get people, they're like, do you take insurance? I'm like, no, I take health savings accounts, but I do not take insurance. And, it's like, you're going to pay for it now or you're going to pay for it later. Right. I mean, there's a reason why in this country that our insurance companies don't cover holistic health modalities. And, they call this alternative healthcare or alternative care, which is excuse my language, BS, because 150 years ago, this was the care that was there, right? And people will say, oh, well, the life expectancy wasn't that long, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, but here's the thing. I'm not sitting here saying do all or nothing, right? Like we need to embrace all of it. But we also in the US need to get past this idea that our employer or our insurance company needs to pay for our personal growth and our personal well-being, because that is not happening. There's this whole monopoly of keeping people ill that keeps things a turning. And so, yeah, I guess it's, you got to get off you got to go off the
merry-go-round.
Yeah, get off the merry-go-round, get off, off the beaten path, and just, just know that you have to show up for yourself. It's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you probably some relationships that aren't healthy for you. Right. And there's a cost involved, but there's also a value gained. And I think that more importantly than, longevity is the quality of our life. And I like to live a quality life. I like to be able to get on the floor and play with my kids and go play with them on the playground and, have my body work for me, have my mindset work for me, and just have the energy there to show up every day and be a good mom. And that takes me showing up to do the work.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the other thing is too, that, by not taking insurance, in some ways you're making it affordable for people, because you're not having to spend all this money to have all these people who are constantly filing paperwork and following up and dealing with all the different insurance companies and yada, 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 yada. I mean, there's overhead that goes along with using insurance in these big companies. So, anyways.
It's just the programming that we all get. Yeah, it's the programming to think that, And the other thing I laugh at is, like people need to pay attention to like how much they're spending on their insurance. And it's insane. Like my family of 4 to get like the worst insurance is like $1,800 a month. I think it's criminal. And I tried to, I was looking into just getting catastrophic insurance. Just so like if we were in a car accident, right? ER, like, yes, I'll have insurance for that. I'll pay for that. But what's interesting, I think it was ever since Obamacare came into play, you have to have basic insurance before you can like add on insurance. So essentially, like, it's just, I feel like it's such a monopoly. And I'm not okay with that. I learned that when my child was born, I don't know if you know that there's billing codes for them to place the child on your bare skin. There's billing codes where they can bill to have your spouse cut the umbilical. But do they ever go over that with you? No. But most people don't look at their insurance, like the explanation of benefits, and they're paying, maybe their out of pocket is, whatever it is, or they pay 20%, but are you paying 20% on a pregnancy test that they billed and said that you had, but you never had it? Are they billing you for things that, so it's like, you don't want to get me started on all that.
No, I was going to say, no, you have somewhere else to go after this. We haven't got enough time.
Right. Oh my gosh. Anyway.
That's another discussion.
Totally.
And we don't want to get sued, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyways, thank you very much for coming on and spending the time with me and us.
Yeah.
It was very enlightening and enjoyable, and you and I definitely are coming from the same place, so that's always nice. Able to spend some time with someone who thinks about this the same way that I do. So with all of that being said, I will finish up to say that this is not medical advice.
No.
And if people are having any kind of issues, they can call you and get some medical advice, but don't take anything that we talk about here and go off and do it. Just go talk to your own doctor and or go to the emergency room if that's the kind of medical problem you're having.
Yes.
So that's my wrap up for every single podcast that I do.
Yeah.
And again, it was very nice to have you on the show.